All right, good morning. Welcome, guys, back to another exciting episode of the Coffee Hour where we just talk about finance news and we go over portfolios and kind of just give you guys, what my thoughts are and how I'm moving amid all this uncertainty and all this craziness in the markets. By understanding what's happening in the macro, we can better position ourselves as investors to take advantage of opportunities as they arise. Of course, there's always a disclaimer out there. I'm not a financial professional of any sorts. You guys should definitely talk to those people. So everything we discuss in here is just my opinion and kind of how I understand it. All right. So with all that stuff out of the way, we got a loaded episode. All right. We're going to be covering, obviously, the big presidential speech that happened last night. And we're going to be talking about tariffs. We're going to be talking about some stuff regarding the defense budget and what I found was actually interesting because I'm in a very interesting AI play. So I want to just discuss that real quick. Then we'll be going over the market news, and then we'll talk about a little bit of real estate at the very end. And then, we'll open it up for some comments and portfolio stuff. All right. So without further ado, guys, let me just get this sip of coffee and then we'll get started. Oh, and I also have to mention, and I'll probably mention it a couple times over the stream, I may not be making any videos, any live streams over the next couple of days, as I'll be away from the office, away from my desk, really, and just enjoying myself on the beach. So may not be available for the next couple of days, but we'll see. Maybe I'll make a video, a YouTube live or something while I'm out there, but we'll see how that goes. All right, guys, let's get into the news. All right, so we're going to start off with a quick portfolio review like we always do. That we started doing. So right now, again, annual net income, 50K. March income is expected to be around $4,200. Dividend yield, 9.45%. These are the values. I'm still recovering from, the whole drop in the market. So hopefully we get fully recovered. And, everything after this is going to be nothing but pure profit after this. So we'll see how this goes. I do have some, maybe, which kind of sucks because I do have some payouts coming, some dividend payouts coming. I obviously won't be able to cover those because I'll be out of the office, but I'll probably just do a YouTube video to kind of summarize what I got paid, just so people can understand where the money's coming from. The core portfolio looks like it's chugging along. It looks like we had a pretty decent recovery, especially over today because tech stocks are starting to recover. But I think we're letting on a little, we're being a little more optimistic than we should be. All right, it's just my opinion. All right, so let's get into it. Today I don't have my big coffee. Instead, I had to go buy it because I forgot to grind the beans. Anyways, all right, so NASDAQ, S&P, and Dow closed out the day on top as Trump delays auto tariffs. So it was really the auto makers that really saved the market. I don't think it was anything else other than that. There is some talk about, Trump is still going to be working with Justin Trudeau, who's the Prime Minister for Canada, as well as the President of Mexico. I forget her name. I can't even remember it. But he's going to be working with them. The Secretary or the Commerce Secretary, I think is his proper title, is also going to be involved in all of this. So we'll see how this actually pans out. I still am of the camp that I don't think Trump's going to reverse his tariffs. Instead, I think what's going to happen is they're going to, probably lighten it somehow, some way, and the market is going to react favorably to that. But I don't think we're out of the woods yet. So we can probably still expect a little more pain ahead. But just, quickly going over the article, Wall Street's major market averages were able to close out Wednesday's trading session in positive territory as ongoing tariff discussions draw more and more attention. At the end of the day, the benchmark S&P finished on top at 1.1% at the time. The tech-focused NASDAQ up 1.4%. The blue-chip DJI, Dow Jones Industrial, advanced by 1.1%. On the tariff front, the White House said Wednesday afternoon, U.S. President Donald Trump gave Ford, General Motors, and Stellantis, or I guess Chrysler, a 1-month delay on tariffs. Autos coming through the USMCA trade pact will be given the temporary exemption, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said. All right. So it was these big three automakers that pretty much saved the market, right? That pretty much saved their bacon, pretty much allowed, pessimism to come down a bit, and optimism to increase, which is a welcome sign because, like I said, over these last, and as you guys have been experiencing over these last, I don't know, 5-ish plus days, it's just been absolute hell in the markets. Things have just been free falling, and it felt like there was no end in sight. Luckily, these automakers came and saved us. Seems that they came and saved us, and this was a welcome sign for the market and for Wall Street and for traders and everyone who's investing or participating in the market. Shares of GM, Ford, and Stellantis gained Wednesday as the White House granted the automakers a 1-month extension from new tariffs on Canada and Mexico. So very likely in 30 days, we'll be facing another wave of red. We'll see how that goes, okay? Because they only got the 1-month extension. And just like we experienced in February, at the beginning of February with all this talk of tariffs, market dipped, right? Market took a poop. And then there's this talk of the 30-day extension while Canada and Mexico get, their ducks in a line and, they put troops at the border, all that other stuff. They did pretty much make good on their promise, and then Trump went ahead anyways and, basically went forward with the tariffs, and then the market reacted, and, you guys know the rest of the story. Earlier Wednesday, Commerce Secretary, that's his official title, Howard Lutnick said in an interview that President Trump was considering easing some of the duties on certain sectors, and the auto industry may be one of them. President Trump also said in a speech to a joint session of Congress Tuesday night that he would like to make car loan tax deductible. All right, so really I just highlighted some key points. We're going to give a 1-month exemption on autos coming through USMCA. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said reciprocal tariffs will still go into effect on April 2nd. But at the request of the companies associated with the USMCA, the president is giving them an exemption for 1 month so that they are not at an economic disadvantage. Earlier Wednesday, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick said in an interview that President Donald Trump was considering easing some of the duties on certain sectors, and the auto industry may be one of them. So we'll see what conversations happen at the higher level, between the governments of Canada, the United States, and Mexico. All right, this is going to be a discussion between the presidents. All right, because the president has the power to implement tariffs basically at free will. He can turn them on, turn them off whenever he feels. So hopefully some good conversations come from that, and hopefully we get some more relief and some reprieve, and that the markets will go back up, because we are feeling that pain. And again, the broader strategy to all this is to basically bring production back to the States, to create more jobs, et cetera, which should be favorable for investors, because investors like a good jobs report, right? And that was pretty much it from this article. So again, they saved our butts. So over, what was it, Tuesday night, Trump had this really big congressional speech, and I just, again, want to put it out there. We don't really talk politics on this channel. Republican, Democrat, red, blue, all that stuff. Don't care. We are investors. We just want to know. We don't care who's in power. We just want to know where to put our money so we can make the greatest return. Okay, which I'll actually touch on in just a moment, because I thought it was kind of funny. But anyways, investors reassured on Trump's tax remarks. Worry about tariffs and chip makers. Okay. So Trump reiterates tax cut commitments, basically no tax on overtime, no tax on tips, no tax on, Social Security, and a couple other things. The U.S. should get rid of the CHIPS Act, Trump tells Congress, and he pledges to impose reciprocal tariffs, or the pledge to impose reciprocal tariffs concerns investors. So investors took comfort in the U.S. president commitment to cutting taxes in a major address to Congress, but voiced concerns about his continued focus on tariffs and a proposal to ditch the semiconductor chip manufacturing subsidy known as the CHIPS Act. Now, I'm not going to pretend like I know everything about the CHIPS Act. I briefly read about it and understand a little bit of it. And basically all it was a subsidy to chip manufacturers. Think of the major ones like Intel, AMD, etc. Trump urged Congress to extend his 2017 cuts tax on Tuesday, a proposal which investors have welcomed. Trump, however, said it would impose reciprocal tariffs on April 2nd, a move that could roil financial markets. So now we got to wait until April 2nd to see what's actually going to happen. Again, these next 30 days are going to be kind of bumpy. At least I predict they're going to be kind of bumpy. I think, depending on how the rest of this week plays out and definitely how the rest of Monday and Tuesday play out, I think we probably could start trending back up. But it's not going to be a steady rise. It's not going to be a steady rise to the top and to the right. It's going to be a really bumpy ride. There will be a couple pullbacks, I think, here and there. Again, all this is fresh news. All this is fresh data. So it's going to be a just bumpy ride, period. Okay. And that was pretty much it. This article, and again, all these articles are going to be down in the show notes in the description after this stream. So keep an eye out if you want to read more about this stuff. But the whole CHIPS Act thing, I guess there's two sides of the story for this one. Some people think it was good because it was subsidizing chip manufacturers, which I don't know what the outcome is, but basically what Trump wants to do is bring all of these chip manufacturers into the United States. And we already saw this from TSMC, Taiwan Semiconductor. They're already building or planning to build a $100 billion, couple of manufacturing plants in the United States. They want to, basically they're going to commit to a $100 billion investment in the United States for, chip manufacturing. And there was articles out there about Intel being involved in this, them basically loaning out some of their manufacturing plants, which could probably be good for Intel, given that their share price and that their company is, going the way of the dodo. But we'll see what happens. This could be a welcome sign. NVIDIA was a part of that. AMD was a part of that as well, that they would work with Intel on manufacturing chips through Intel warehouse or through Intel manufacturing plants. So this is a good sign, especially if you're in the semiconductor space or the, probably the AI space, because this is basically telling you that the president is focused on, and I keep saying this, he's focused on AI, but he's also focused on the hardware that powers AI, right? We already talked about the Stargate project. We talked about, Apple's $500 billion investment into AI infrastructure, training, and et cetera. And then, now we have TSMC that's sinking another $100 billion into America for investment. Excuse me. So there's going to be more and more money sinking into this industry, into the semiconductors, chip manufacturing industry, which is going to power the software that runs artificial intelligence. Okay. So this actually leads me to another interesting point. So you guys all remember this whole talk about budget cuts, defense budget cuts, and all this stuff. And why did I come across an article that Scale AI announces a multi-million-dollar defense deal, all right, a defense deal, DoD deal, a major step in U.S. military automation. So I made a video, again, why I'm so bullish on artificial intelligence and why I bought into VGT. And then I made another video about why I'm so bullish on Palantir, specifically a 1.2x leverage ETF for Palantir, PLTW from Roundhill. Okay. Scale AI has partnered with the Department of Defense to use AI agents for U.S. military planning operations. Thunderforge is the DoD's flagship program and will work with Anduril, Microsoft, and others to develop and deploy AI agents. It's a multi-million-dollar deal, according to the source familiar with the situation. So this, again, when the large sell-off happened because of the Department of Defense saying they're going to be cutting the budget, and a large sell-off happened with, defense contractors, specifically for me, it was related to Palantir. And then the double whammy was that Alex Karp also announced that, he's trying to sell a bunch of shares. This pretty much put a lot of downward pressure on Palantir share price, and it dropped dramatically, almost 30%. This, in my opinion, was a welcome opportunity. And the reason is because the administration, again, is so focused on AI for the future, is so focused on defense AI. Palantir is perfect for all of this. Palantir is perfect for all this. So this opened up an opportunity to get in on Palantir, in my opinion. And again, the budget cuts is specifically trimming the fat to reallocate the money to other areas, other priorities, okay? This was not just a straight across the board budget cut across the entire DoD, cut all the programs, cut all the projects, all that type of stuff. No, instead, this was cut the fat and reallocate the money into other priority areas, all right? A lot of it's missile defense, a lot of it's, unmanned aerial reconnaissance vehicles or unmanned aerial airplanes or whatever. And it's stuff like that that has money being funneled into it. So again, it's very interesting that despite a bunch of DoD drawbacks, that this article came out basically stating that Scale AI is going to get a multi-million-dollar defense deal. All right, so again, this will be in the show notes. Scale AI on Wednesday announced a deal with the Department of Defense for a flagship AI program, a significant move in the controversial military use of artificial intelligence. The AI giant, which provides training data to key AI players like OpenAI, Google, Microsoft, and Meta, has been awarded a prototype contract from the Department of Defense Thunderforge, the DoD's flagship program, to use AI agents for U.S. military planning and operations, according to the releases. It is a multi-million-dollar deal, according to a source familiar with the situation, who requested anonymity due to the confidential nature of the contract. So, again, I'm very bullish on Palantir because it's also a software. Think about this for a second. And I'm going to get into Palantir in just a second, but think about this for a second. It's a software that's going to be heavily embedded in the intelligence community. It's going to be embedded into the DoD. It's going to be embedded into all these alphabet agencies, the FBI, CIA, NSA, everybody else, right? It's going to be embedded commercially. And when you have software that is embedded that deep, it's not easy to get off of it. It's called vendor lock-in. So when all these departments, all these institutions, all these government agencies are tied in with Palantir, it's not easy to get out. Once they're in, Palantir is very sticky, all right? They can't just give them the software without a license. That's not how it works. If they don't pay the bill, if they lose the contract, they take the license away, and the software is basically essentially useless. You would have to find another competitor in order to replace Palantir, okay? In order to replace that software suite. And unless they can find something like that, or a near Palantir-like, software that's going to be replaced across the DoD, I can't see that happening. I'm not saying I'm going to hold Palantir, the actual stock, long term. I'm not going to even hold PLTW long term. I'm going to play it as a momentum play for now. And, once I reach a certain probably exit point, then I'm going to get my money out and then recycle it into something else. But I think right now, this is definitely an opportunity, in my opinion. I'm not a financial consultant, etc. You guys should probably talk to those people. All right, so let's move on. So Citigroup, the bank, believes it is time to buy defense stocks. Okay, and this is just a quick article I found. Citi analyst Jason Gursky says that since November 2024, defense stocks have derated significantly, given uncertainty about the potential impacts of the Department of Government Efficiency intentions of the Trump administration. The stocks are now pricing in negative 1% to positive 1% to growth, which is too punitive given the macro backdrop, which likely points to mid-single growth, yada, 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 word salad. Congress recently passed budget resolutions that add upward of $300 billion in spending over the next 10 years. That's kind of weird given that, we're supposed to, well, let me give you guys more context. Citi thinks defense spending in Europe is likely headed significantly higher and points out the U.S. Congress recently passed budget resolutions that add upwards of $300 billion in spending over the next 10 years. I thought we were cutting, right? I thought we were cutting all this money. So again, we're cutting the fat and reallocating it to other areas, specifically, tech, AI, missile defense, all that type of stuff. And importantly, this spending growth is likely to favor modernization in order to buy deterrence against near peers like, basically China. As such, we think it's time to buy defense stocks. And here's just a list of them. I don't own any of these. All right, full transparency, I don't own any of these guys, although I worked with a lot of these people. Palantir upgraded to market perform due to recent sell-off from William Blair. William Blair is a investment bank institution. So Palantir was upgraded to market perform from underperformed by William Blair following the recent share price decline by the data analysis and artificial intelligence software firm. Basically, they're saying we're upgrading our rating on shares of Palantir to market perform after a 33% Doge-driven sell-off from $125 to $84 over the past 3 weeks. All right, this is why I think this is a great opportunity, because there's nothing fundamentally wrong with the company. As a matter of fact, Palantir is projecting, I think, upwards of $2 billion worth of new revenue for 2025. This is what they expect, and they're already making a lot of deals, right? They're already making a lot of deals. They're already breaking actually into the European markets as well. I don't have the articles in front of me, but one of them was, or actually two of them, the two new contracts that they got for the European markets were for financial institutions, and one of which was to stop financial crimes. So again, like, the software is powerful and it has a lot of use cases. So I think, again, just looking at it, I think Palantir is poised for growth in 2025, despite all the crap that's happening in the short term, right? Because you have to look under the hood, guys. You have to look under the hood at these companies, and the share price doesn't tell you the whole story. The share price is just a part of the story, okay? Once you look under the hood and you see that this company is doing well on, financials, it's doing well, it's beating, it's beating expectations. I mean, what's not to like? And then you look at what, how they're winning and what contracts they're winning, or how they're growing revenue, or what their prospects are, then you're like, why wouldn't you own something like this? So again, just my opinion. So anyways, that's that about Palantir. All right, so S&P 500 over the last day, again, in the green. Automakers basically saved our bacon. We're up a full percent, which is nice, a welcome sign, because over the last 5 trading days, it was just crazy. Very volatile in the market. Again, you had tariffs. There's mention of like the Ukraine-Russian war ending or possibly coming to a conclusion. Then you have, the tariffs. Let's see what else was there. I think the jobs report just came out, and I totally missed that. But yeah, anyways, over the last 5 days, really volatile. For the NASDAQ 100, which is a tech-heavy focused index, we are in the green, thankfully, right? We're in the green, 1.36% on the close. For Bitcoin, probably the biggest news from these guys, from Bitcoin or cryptocurrency, all over the news is the crypto summit that's happening at the White House this Friday. So we'll see what's going to happen or what's going to come from that. It's been super volatile over the last couple of days, especially with the announcement of, the whole, Bitcoin reserve. And then first, this is crazy. All right. This is crazy. For those who are just joining us, never saw the stream before, Sunday, and I mentioned this on one of the streams, Sunday, they announced, the whole, summit and Bitcoin reserve and all that stuff, and it shot up 10%. And then little by little, almost like it was an insider job, it's just been going down, almost like people were selling out, right? This was all pre-planned, which, I probably would suspect is what happened. Basically they're just getting money out. And then it spikes up again, the whole summit, everything, everything, the Bitcoin reserve, we're going to include XRP, we're going to include Solana, we're going to include ADA, we're going to include Ethereum. And, it's just been trending up. And then there was like rumor or news also, I haven't found, and I can't confirm it, but there's also all this talk that no, the reserve is only going to be for Bitcoin. It's not going to be for XRP, ADA, Ethereum, or Solana. Those coins are probably going to be treated differently and not part of the actual reserve. So we'll see what happens, the strategic reserve. We'll see what actually comes of that. I haven't heard anything. I think we'll hear some more news when the crypto summit happens. As far as the crypto summit itself, I'll watch it, I'll listen in, but again, I'm not going to be placing any bets around, any of the other coins or any of the, Bitcoin stuff or any of that kind of nonsense, because I'm a long-term investor. I'll put some money in Bitcoin here and there, but I don't want it to be a large portion of my own personal portfolio. So that's what I'll say about that. GLD, gold ETF, again, the best performing asset year to date, and it's continuing to be the best performing asset year to date, up almost 10%. It looks like investors were kind of piling in and then they got out as the market was recovering. So this could be maybe a sign that, we're going to have some greener days ahead of us. Because again, gold is a hedge against inflation. It's a hedge against currency devaluation, and it's a hedge against just market pessimism. So I think seeing a drop like this, we could probably expect that, more money is flowing into equities. How is our beautiful 10-year treasury doing? Well, it actually went up, which is really disappointing because it was down almost to 4.19%, which was like crazy. But now it looks like it spiked. And I'm like, okay, so why did it spike, right? This is bad news for real estate. Real estate investors are trying to cash out refi at the lowest rate. The 10-year is just a weather gauge, kind of a barometer, a temperature gauge, if you will, on mortgage rates, okay? On mortgage rates for rental properties. So we can see that it's starting to spike up again, which is a little worrisome. And, again, I'm trying to find out why, because it was on a downward trend for a long time. And the closest thing I can find was this: 10-year treasury yield rises as investors weigh effect of Trump's tariff updates. So this could probably go lower, probably in the short term. Maybe in the next couple of days, it'll trend downward. Again, we got to wait and see. The 10-year treasury yield advanced on Wednesdays as investors considered the effects of President Donald Trump's tariff along with new data on U.S. private payrolls. Investors are concerned about the potential effect of Trump's tariffs after 25% duties on imports from Canada and Mexico came into effect on Tuesday. The president is also imposed an additional 10% tariff on goods from China. Canada, Mexico, and China responded by preparing retaliatory measures against the United States. So the whole trade war thing might be coming true, but again, gotta wait and see, because I think there's going to be some type of middle road, that the government's that the president's going to strike with Mexico and Canada, because Trump historically has always used the stock market as his, popularity, right? He always drops it every time he can. Like, I made the stock market the greatest it's ever been, right? That's what he always uses. So he uses that as kind of a way to pull how he's doing. And I think he knows, and I think we all know this, that he knows that the stock market is not doing so hot right now. So we'll see again what's going to happen. Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick suggested that a compromise with Canada and Mexico could be reached. The White House said Wednesday that it granted a 1-month extension to automakers and was open to more delays on taxes. New data on U.S. private payrolls that came in far below economists' expectations did not help sentiment. However, ISM data on the services sector was slightly better than economists predicted. All right. So that's what I found on the 10-year. How's real estate doing? We actually are up for the day, which was great, which was really good, because I was expecting it to go lower after I saw the whole 10-year thing. But it looks like we're up on the day, which is a welcome sign as always. I just want to share this little bit of news, and this also lends itself to the whole, AI infrastructure type of thing. So banks lend $2 billion for a 100-acre Utah AI data center. Banks originated a $2 billion construction loan to build a state-of-the-art data center in West Jordan, Utah, just outside of Salt Lake City. And again, this is just more positive news for the AI industry, right? More data centers are going to come online in the United States, more demand, which is good, right? And then if you dig a little deeper, who's going to fill those data centers? Obviously, probably something from Supermicro, probably something from NVIDIA. There's probably going to be Microsoft in there. And then you look a little further down than that and you realize, okay, well, what's going to power all of this, right? And then you can go down the rabbit hole. But yeah, it is looking really, really good for data centers. It's looking really good for AI infrastructure, and it's looking really good for defense spending on artificial intelligence. So real quick, I got to come back to this because I forgot to mention this. So for Palantir, all right, I have a video on why I'm bullish on Palantir. Okay, and there was a comment, and I'm not, you know, upset about it or anything, but it was just interesting. So the comment was basically saying, because I mentioned a lot of like, you know, politics in there, you know, Trump administration is focused. And then there was, you know, I went even a layer deeper than that. And there's the whole Project 2025 thing, right? Whether you like it or dislike it, agree, don't agree, whatever, don't care. The point is that in that document, and again, Project 2025 is basically the conservative playbook for how these next couple of years, you know, should play out, how they want to see it play out. But in there is a lot of mention about artificial intelligence. We use those documents to surmise, you know, what opportunities could exist out there. And that's why I included that document in part as part of my research. But this, you know, one gentleman basically said, oh, as soon as I saw Project 2025, I clicked off. It's like you're letting the politics seep into your decision making, right? You're letting the politics, you know, your hatred for probably conservatism or the GOP or President Trump, you're letting your emotions kind of blind you, in my opinion. You know, maybe he didn't even care about Palantir for all I know. I don't know. I don't care, to be honest. I'm just sharing the research that I have. Okay. And, you know, whether you like it or hate it, unfortunately, Project 2025, there's a lot of mention of artificial intelligence and where, you know, the administration is going to be focused on. So, you know, take it for what it is. But anyways, let's get into a quick portfolio look-see, because I know that's what everyone really comes here for. Okay, so we're at $98,000, but really it should be 170. Right now, my buffer, my margin is really safe, thankfully. You know, I'm not close to a margin call. I have a lot of buffer, a lot of protection to help in case there is a, you know, probably more of a bumpy ride downward. I still have a lot of buffer to protect me in that event. So how are we doing with the day? So I hope you guys can see this. I know it's kind of weird. It's down here. I don't like Robinhood's platform really all that much because it's hard to manipulate. Anyways, we have PLTW, which is the 1.2x levered ETF for Palantir. Actually did really well on the day, up $1,300, right? Freaking awesome. XDTE, which is one of my bigger positions, along with XPay. These are both follow pretty much the S&P 500. They're both green for the day. Up $700, up $230. And then I have a position in Ethereum, $20,000 worth of shares, and that is up $390, right? I think, you know, leading all the way up to this whole summit thing, it's going to be all positive. Depending on what happens from that summit or what is said or how investors take it, I'm predicting that this will probably continue trending upward. Now, that is a very bold prediction, very bullish, obviously, but you know, this is a cover call ETF. So even if it trends downward, you know, I should still be able to collect some premiums from those cover calls. So either way, it is what it is. You know, I'll still be able to make some money. This right here is probably going to be more of a longer term holding for me, and I'm thinking either 6 to 12 months, at least 6 to 12 month hold to let all this, you know, volatility kind of die down. But volatility is good for cover call ETFs. Whereas PLTW, it's not a cover call ETF. They just make money on the volatility and some proprietary formula to talk, you know, to basically distribute that out to the investors. So I'm riding on the volatility and the prediction that Palantir is going to increase in price over these next 3 to 6 weeks. Definitely over these next 3 to 6 months. And I may even hold this a little longer depending on how the stock performs. All right. So that'll do it for that portfolio. This is the cover call ETF portfolio. All right. This is a high income type of portfolio. This is really generating on paper, supposed to generate about $40,000 in dividends when annualized. So all good stuff, right? I hate when this thing logs me out, but we're going to just quickly take a look at my core portfolio. I got to log in every time. Oh, what did I press? Okay. Oh, there we go. Okay. So this is my core portfolio here. As you guys can see, this is hosted on M1 Finance. So I just want to show you what we got for the day. For the day, REITs are up $2,200. Technology, VGT, tech-focused ETF. That one is up $2,300, which is a welcome sign because over the entire, since I bought it, it's been down, you know, almost $17,000. It was down $17,000 and trending even lower. So this was a welcome sign that we're trending in the right direction. Again, this is probably one of my more bigger positions, and this is because I'm so bullish on AI, and I didn't want to choose individual AI companies. Instead, I'd rather just own the market. So that is why I went with VGT. For BDCs, I don't really cover BDCs as much, but yeah, they're up too for the day, or actually up for, let's see, year to date. Actually, we're going to switch to all. So they're up, doing okay. They don't really fluctuate as much, which is nice. I mean, this has always been kind of like a steady trend. So we'll just look at them real fast. But yes, it's always kind of just been a steady trend. Aside from the large increases that I put in there. Not really a whole lot of excitement there. Actually, I really want to sell out of the BDCs and move them either into REITs or sprinkle them between REITs and technology. I was planning to add more to the BDCs, but it's hard to find good opportunities, price entry points for BDCs. I'm not an analyst of any sorts when it comes to business development companies, but I don't want to be dollar cost averaging into these at all. Crypto ETF, all I have is IBIT, which is the iShares Bitcoin Trust ETF. So I just got a small position here. I hope to put more money into this as I can. I'll dollar cost average this because I plan to hold this over the next 5, 10, and 15 years. So, this is, this blip that we're having right now could be something in the rear view mirror much later down the line, especially when you zoom out, right? Because maybe Bitcoin might be worth 160 next year, or might be worth 250 in a couple of years. I don't know. All right. I'm not a crypto person. I'm just kind of speculating here, but that'll do it for this portfolio update, guys. That's it for this stream. So as I mentioned, I'm going to be out of Dodge for a little bit. I'm going to be at a beach basically for the next couple of days, so I will not be streaming. I might try to upload a video here or there, but it'll be off my phone. So we'll see. Again, we'll see how the markets react, how the markets turn out these next couple of days. Hopefully we end this week on a strong note. And with that, guys, that will do it for this stream. So I'm just going to take a quick look at the chat here. So Nick, first time viewer, I think, because I haven't seen you on the channel or the chat. I've been hesitant on Palantir. I'm considering it for a long-term 10+ year hold. Yeah, I mean, I think Palantir has some runway. I don't know how much runway, to be honest, but I think Palantir definitely has some runway, especially under this administration, especially as there's this monumental shift, for artificial intelligence. Whenever we look at artificial intelligence, we always think ChatGPT, and we think, making AI videos and basically commercial use, right? Basically end user commercial use. The application for every industry we're just scratching the surface, right? We're just really scratching the surface. So I think, as we continue moving forward, Palantir has a lot of space, a lot of runway, especially in the defense sector. And I wish I saved the dang articles, but there was an article out for Palantir. Maybe we could find it right now. There was 2 companies that Palantir made deals with, and they're both in Europe. And I don't know of any. Yeah, here it is. No, wait. Yeah, this one right here, and Society Generale. Yeah, so this is, being used for financial crimes or anti-financial crime solutions. And this is in Europe, which is really interesting because I don't know if Palantir was being used overseas outside of the United States. So maybe they're getting kind of like a watered down version. And there's several products within Palantir, right? They have like several different product suites. So, it's cool that they're actually being used overseas in different markets, right? Then you have Palantir and TWG Global announced a joint venture to deploy an AI program. Palantir, TWG Global said they have entered into a joint venture for the deployment of artificial intelligence in banking, investment, management, insurance, and other financial services. This collaboration will help financial institutions integrate AI at scale. The joint venture also has a team with a deeply established history of collaboration in deploying AI at scale across defense, government, and commercial applications. So again, there you have it, right? I wonder who TWG is. I've never heard of them. Premier Holding Company. Okay. Well, let's just take a quick look, because I did not really look at these guys at all. Let's see. Finance, corporate lending, merchant banking, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I mean, I guess they're just a holding company. They're probably like some type of maybe a private equity or something. I'm not entirely sure. But, I mean, this is cool. Like, this is really cool. Like, Palantir is partnering with other companies to deploy AI. Again, this is only going to further its use case for commercial, adoptability. This is going to further its case for implementation in government. And again, Palantir is no stranger to the government. It's been used since 2013, right? They've had clients like the CIA, like the NSA, as clients since as early as 2013. So they're no stranger to this stuff. And I think they're just really going to explode with all this money being spent on artificial intelligence and beefing up the defense sector and beefing up our military. I think they're just going to really, this is going to play a big part. And I saw a link somewhere some time ago about intelligence agencies. There's a focus on intelligence agencies, FBI, CIA, NSA, DIA, to move to artificial intelligence, right? To start adopting it. And I think Palantir, again, is going to have a big part in all of this. So I'm very bullish on Palantir. The things that could prevent it from growing is a actual defense budget cuts, where they don't care. They're just cutting it across the board. There's no reallocation of funds, or contracts are getting slashed, or they make it harder for contracts to get approved. But I think this, I don't have the articles with me. I saw something basically saying that the government is trying to streamline the contract process. And, this is going to be a headwind or a tailwind for a lot of defense contractors, because it's going to be easier for contract companies to just get approved to have the contract. Usually you go through it, this really long, lengthy, document intensive, process in order to get awarded a contract. But now things are going to get streamlined. There's a lot of criticism about this, because it's like, Trump's just going to put in a lot of his, biggest supporters who own these companies, because Peter Thiel, who's one of the biggest shareholders of Palantir, if I'm not mistaken, he's actually one of the founders. He is very close to the Trump administration. He's very close to Trump. He was one of the bigger donors for President Trump in his election. So, there's a lot of criticism that, he is just going to pick his favorites and, get them awarded the contracts fast. Is that a possibility? Absolutely. Is that a conflict of interest? Very yes. But, for me as an investor looking at Palantir, it has a lot of other stuff going for it. When you have a technology, a software that's so good, it's being utilized by everybody, both commercially and governmental. What's not to like? I mean, that's like Microsoft's Windows, right? It's used by everybody. It's used by government. It's used by commercial. This is why the government hasn't adopted Apple, freaking Apple OS as their desktop software. They've adopted, and they cannot get out of or away from Windows. Linux is a small part of the government, infrastructure, very small part. It's primarily Windows based. So again, try to find another desktop operating system that's better than Windows. It's not possible. And then you would have to migrate the entire government, the entire, let's say a company, you'd have to migrate them off of Windows and onto some new operating system. So this is why, again, I think Palantir is awesome, because once they get in, it's hard to get them out. It's going to be very hard to get them out. So it's just my thoughts on all of that. So Dano says Palantir to the moon. Absolutely. Palantir with Anduril is game over. You know, I don't know too much about Anduril. I only recently heard about them. I never really looked at who they are or what they do. Transforming U.S. and allied military capabilities. Let me zoom out a bit. Anduril Industries is an American defense technology company that specializes in autonomous systems. It was co-founded in 2017 by inventor and entrepreneur Palmer Luckey. Anduril aims to sell to the U.S. Department of Defense, including artificial intelligence and robotics. That's pretty cool. I'm guessing this is a private company and that they don't have a stock. Oh, this is backed by Peter Thiel. Oh, that's really interesting. That's really interesting. Let's see if do they even have a stock? No. Okay, so they're doing an IPO. Microsoft just handed IPO prospect Anduril a $22 billion opportunity. Man, that is wild. You see how much, like, it's just so much money is being thrown into like artificial intelligence for the defense sector. And it sucks to use this as an example, but I mean, you don't have to look too far. You could see the evolution. You know, first we had, you know, just guided rockets. That was all the rage. Then you had flightless drones, right? You had drones being piloted by somebody in Virginia, but these drones are flying over the lands of Iraq, Afghanistan, right? And then it went up even more than that. Like we added missiles to these things, right? We added guns, we added all this stuff to it. And now we're moving past that. And now you have these little tiny drones that are, you know, you put in your backpack, you strap a mortar to it, you strap some explosive to it, and it can start taking out like $1 million tanks, you know, $150 worth of drones with, you know, packed with a little bit of C4, and you could take out a whole multi-million-dollar tank. Right, this is what's happening currently, and now the rage is going to be how to defend yourself, how to defend your military against this type of stuff, and not only that, but how do you maintain an edge over other countries, you know, that are going to be utilizing this technology, right? So because as you know, war continues and as technology continues, it's going to be, the battlefield is going to change. I can go on and on about this stuff, but I got to try to remember and digress that this is an investor specific stream. So let's see. Dano says Trump is not going to cut defense spending. No way. Nope. I don't think so either. And it's already been said that Defense Secretary Hegseth is actually moving a lot of money that they're cutting from other sectors, other areas within the Department of Defense, and reallocating that to priority areas. Missile defense, autonomous vehicles, and this whole new, you know, Iron Dome that they're coming out with, whatever they call that. So yeah, I mean, we'll see. We'll see how these next couple of months play out. But guys, that is going to pretty much do it for this stream. I don't really have much else, and I have to get packed and ready because I'm heading to the beach. So I appreciate everybody joining the stream. I appreciate everyone commenting. Again, like always, without you guys, without your support, this stream is pretty much nothing. So again, I appreciate you guys for joining. You guys have a great rest of your evening, a great rest of your day. Hopefully we have greener days Thursday and Friday, and I will see you guys again on Monday.